All right, everyone. So welcome, official welcome. I know we were starting a little bit late, just with different traffic and other stuff for our speaker, but I assure you the wait is well worth it, right?
Thank you.
So welcome back, everybody. So we are week 8 in the semester, so we're like halfway point. So we're getting there. Things are getting real. I know you guys got a lot of things going on, projects too, exams, papers, all of the above in some classes. But we appreciate you taking the time to come out tonight for this info session. So tonight we have our company information session with Google. So it's the first time we've had Google come. So obviously, if you don't know what Google is, I don't know where you've been living, but maybe we want to go wherever you were living because it must be nice and isolated. But I'm sure all of you have heard from Google. So we're really excited to have our guest speaker tonight. So he's going to talk all about all the great things about not just Google, but also his past on his educational journey, the different career paths he's been in, decisions he's made, courses he's liked, all of the above. So without any further ado, can we give a nice warm MISA round of applause for Bruno?
Thank you, appreciate it. I actually have been looking forward to this for quite some time. It's probably my first on-site meeting over the past 3 years or so. So I'm very excited to be here. I don't take this lightly. Like every time that I have the opportunity to come out here, I really prepare, and I hope that you guys can take something from today. And here's what you could expect from today's session. For any of you that have seen me before, I try to be very transparent and very real. So, I've had the opportunity over my career to, hire, promote, fire people. And I think that, I can bring some insights for you and in what is expected in the real job market out there, not just book learned, but also, things that you can take on, for your experience. And I want to make this as conversational as possible. So if you're here, raise your hand, make any comments, contribute with what you think is relevant. I hope that we can make this as conversational as possible. So one thing that I also want to, exactly. So you stole my thunder. I was going to say, if you want to continue the conversation, go ahead and connect with me on those social platforms. I'm happy to connect with you and go from there. So there you go. Very good. Good job. You're reading ahead. Very cool. They've seen the slides. That's what it is. Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. All right. So, before we get started, I kind of want to give you guys like some fun Google facts and, hey, so actually, if I spent a lot of time trying to figure out some facts to share because there's a lot, and I've been at Google for about 5 months. So, take this with a grain of salt, but I wanted to share some things that I think is pretty cool that Google's doing that it was news to me. So just the sheer volume, I Googled that on the internet, there's about 1.75 billion websites on the open internet, and Google is and has been the most accessed website for years. So just the sheer volume of infrastructure to have that type of traffic, to me, is unbelievable. And I've been speaking here for about 2-3 minutes or so. And while I was doing that, Google was indexing the entire internet to be able to provide the search engine capabilities that we know and love. So that for me is mind-boggling. And with that, we have the ability to scan the internet for potential threats and phishing attacks and DDoS attacks. Like you probably have seen in a little bit ago that Google stopped the largest to date DDoS attack with one of our customers. So just for context, Wikipedia gets about, the attack was for about 46 million requests per second. That's essentially what Wikipedia gets on a daily basis. And that was done in like 10 seconds. So it's just a massive amount of requests that could have, broken that website and caused a lot of issues on their services. So I thought that was pretty cool to share. Another thing that I like about Google is that it's concerned with the environment. So, if you think about everything that's going on with the world today, having a company this big with, 180,000 employees that has a concern for sustainability, it's pretty awesome. And one fun thing that I found out is that, in the effort to prevent, carbon emissions, we leased out goats instead of lawnmowers to mow our grass in certain campuses that we have. So I thought that was pretty awesome to have goats. Yeah, me either. So it is true. No, right. Yeah, exactly. But that's the type of the googliness, right, that we talk about. So all right, so let me turn the tables to you guys now. I want to have like a quick trivia. So the way this is going to work is no phones, no internet, no nothing, right? So flip your phones, close your laptops, quick trivia. The way it's going to work is whoever raises their hand first will get the chance at answering the question. And, if you don't get it right, I'll try to go to the next person. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it online for you guys. So next time, be here. So first question, who's ready? Oh my God, come on, let's go. I know it's like 6 o'clock on a Thursday, so. All right. What was Google's initial search engine name? No. But it's, okay. Back rub? Got it, good job, well done. Yes. So at the end, we'll, see me at the end and you get a shot at getting something. Hey guys. All right. Just for you guys that walked into the room, we're doing trivia. So if you get the answer right, you get a shot at getting some swag from Google. All right. So next question. This is a funny one. So a new Googler like myself is a noogler. A transfer Googler is called a troogler. What is a Googler's dog called? Raise your hand. A what? Okay, good job. That's correct. Well done. All right, next one is, when was Gmail launched? Think about the date. Nope. Nope. There you go. Good job. Yes, that was a tricky one. In fact, we launched it and people thought it was a lie because, free email back then, it was like, what? And it was April Fool's. And we actually made it a thing where we launched some releases on April 1st. All right, next. How old is Google? There you go. Good job. Well done. Very cool. All right. So last one, last shot at getting some swag. All right. So name a company that is not part of Alphabet. It's kind of tricky, but not really. You got it. That's correct. Well done. Good job. All right. So I probably won't remember who you were. So see me after class and you get a shot at getting the swag. Huh? Yeah. Very cool. All right. So I wanted to spend some time to talk to you guys about me and my role at Google. And you see there the infamous Noogler hat that you see kind of everywhere. And it's to me, it's a sense of accomplishment because, if you look back, I'm originally from Brazil. I've been here for about 22 years in Florida. When I got here, I wanted to purchase a car. I was 15 at the time. And obviously my parents didn't have, the means to give me a car. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to start working. So I, picked up odd jobs and, similar to a lot of you, and, to kind of get things that I wanted. And that kind of started my career with sales. And I took on my dad's footsteps. I started in banking. I worked at Bank of America and Chase for about 10 years. And it got to a point that I realized that the banking industry was changing and I wasn't really being very relevant. You know, a lot of my customers would just go on an app. Probably like, when was the last time you guys walked into a banking center? Probably never, right? Maybe when you have to get something notarized or even open an account. So I decided to go back to school. I was at Citrix at the time, and you know, I was probably in one of these classrooms, and I saw Dr. Denev. Dr. Denev came here and she said, hey, you know, we have a master's degree program for folks in MIS. And I took her up on it and ended up getting my master's to FAU. And I would highly recommend, because you may know that once you leave school, it's very hard to come back. I actually got my AA in 2007 and I got my master's in 2016. So it was a big gap and it was very difficult to come back. So while you're here, might as well just get the master's degree, get it out of the way, because it's very relevant. And if I can add anything around data, we have, at the time we had a business intelligence and analytics concentration within the master's program. I'd highly recommend that, because anything around data is extremely valuable. At Citrix, at Google, if you look at data and you're able to manipulate it in a way that's interesting for, you know, the business, right? Areas that you're working with in your professional career, this is extremely valuable. Otherwise, it's just a spreadsheet with a bunch of numbers. So anything around data, analytics, security, top notch, you should definitely consider taking a look at that. And to that end, what I do at Google today is a little bit of a mix between sales, project management, and customer success, if you will. I am the workspace specialist for the public sector, covering the East region. So anything from the Florida Keys all the way to Maine, it's my territory. And my job is to really position and sell the Google Workspace. And right now, we have about 3 billion users and growing. And you guys may have seen the growth, right? We started with Google Apps, then G Suite, and now we have the Workspace. You guys may be familiar with it through, you know, your time here at FAU. And we're very big on the EDU space. A lot of universities, colleges use Google, especially because the ability to collaborate, right? A lot of the older tools that are available, it was built in the 80s, right? With a different mindset of like, hey, file, you know, save as, attach, send. And with Google, everything is already saved for you. You're able to collaborate together. You don't have to have version control. Everything is there for you. You're able to simultaneously work on a doc, on a slides, or anything like that. So, you know, to talk a little bit more about that, and check out this video while I talk, because it's pretty cool what you're able to do with docs, for example. So, you know, to start off, I am on meetings all the time, every day, and probably for many hours a day. And I absolutely love Meet because it just has a few things that I think are super critical for someone that is on the phone all the time. Number one is the noise cancellation. And I never knew that noise cancellation, there's artificial intelligence behind it that is actually counteracting the waves of sound that are coming to make that sound not as proponent, right? Obviously, there's a lot more technical stuff that goes behind it that I'm not aware. But as a user, I know that if my dog is barking on the background, the people that are on the call with me, they're not going to hear that. Another thing is with other tools, like I had to purchase like a ring light to have like the quality of lighting to be better. With Google Meet, you have artificial intelligence running on the background to auto adjust the brightness. So when you come on, you know, it has the clearest picture possible. So I don't know if you've used Meet before, but as soon as you hop on, there's a line that goes like this, and your face just looks, you know, a lot crisper and a lot better. Not to mention, if we were on Meet right now, I could have turned on caption, and my words would show up on the screen automatically in any language. You could pick Portuguese, Spanish, Russian, Japanese, and it would automatically show up on the screen. And for people that are not on the call, you could have transcripts being sent to them. So for example, if you are on even on a group conversation within yourselves, and somebody can't make it, you can send the recording, but you can also send the transcript so they could just skim through the content. So those are some things that for me are super relevant in today's hybrid world. You know, after COVID, companies saw that there's a big market for hybrid, right? And I don't think we're ever going back to full on office type of environment. We're always going to have some sort of mix, right? And I think that's where the technologies that we offer really come into place, because Google is very innovative, very forward thinking. So folks like yourselves, you know, in 5-10 years from now, this is going to be the norm, right? The days of like files, save as, version 1, version 2, oh, let me go in, send it, oh, I have to wait for someone to get off the file for me to work. Those are gone, right? So Google has the ability to give all of that for you. And if I'm going to play the video again and check out that feature that is showcasing there. It's called the Smart Canvas through Smart Chips. And what that is essentially when you hit the @ sign, it pops up a little menu, and you can add a person, a file, a map, a spreadsheet, a timeline, a line, anything that you want under those under that menu, which is super powerful because you can, for example, collaborate with someone and launch, let's say, a meeting right out of the document. So again, you don't have to leave your the place of work. For example, you're working on a doc, you have to get out of that, go to email, file, save as, attach, send, all of that, you don't have to do. So, you know, I highly recommend you taking a look. In fact, we have something called Google Cloud Next happening this week. It is a conference that we announce a lot of new things about Google Cloud, partnerships, things that are happening in the industry. So if you have the time, you can go in and check it out. There is a bunch of on-demand sessions that you can attend, and it talks a lot about this. So if you're in IT and you like the industry, it's, you know, something that you should definitely do. Any questions so far? Any comments? Okay. Go ahead.
So when you went back to school and that's when you completed like your business, you did that at FAU with the statistics.
Yes.
So when you did that, in order to then pursue everything after school, did you do internships? And if you did, like what did you do? What helped you build your resume?
So that's a good question. I didn't do internships because I wish I could be in school full time and not work. I always worked and I did school at night. So for me, it was kind of flip-flop. Yeah. But I think to answer your question, you don't necessarily have to have an internship to get the type of experience that you may need. Obviously, it's something that's, you know, it's an easy way in, but you don't necessarily have to have that. And I think that for you to land the job that you're looking for, you don't necessarily need to have a start on your field, if you know what I mean. Like you can, you know, collect experience wherever you can find and then go from there.
Like I'm gonna look for internships, but the internship site, it is like a bigger business, like in terms of Google. So I was like, oh my God, are they gonna want me to have like internships within this field before applying to this bigger internship? Like, so I think I'm gonna just go for it, but
yeah, no problem. I think I
talk experience, but no, like
okay. I talk about that in a couple of slides. So I think it'll answer your question in a different way as well. Actually, it starts right now, to be honest. So how did I get a job? Go ahead. My favorite feature, it has to be Smart Chips, because that's something that I'm very visual. So going, for example, on Google Docs, and I do, you know, and then I, for example, put my boss's name. It pops up his name, his contact information, and then I could, you know, skip a line and do another and put, like, for example, this presentation. And I could say, hey, Mike, you know, had the opportunity to present at FAU. Here's the document, and it shows on a little chip, which is like right here if you check it out on the video. you're going to see as soon as you hit the @ it would give you, it'll come up in a second. That, oops. Right here. See? That's the smart chip right there. You see? So it's very clean and it's easy to work for, like if you're collaborating with someone, you don't have to share anything in addition to what's in the doc. So it's like centralized, everything is in one place. And let's say if you wanted to meet on a project that you're working on, if you are on Google Docs, you can just click the Meet button on the top and it will launch a meeting for you. And folks are going to appear on the right-hand side with their tiles, with their faces, so you can be on a document working while on, for example, a project for school, for example. So it's amazing. It's very cool. Check it out. Check out Cloud Doc Next, the conference that we have. There's a bunch of on-demand that talks about that. So, you know, it's very cool. All right. So how did I land the job at Google? The way I like to explain this is like, you know how when you have to study for a big exam, or let's say the SAT, it's an accumulation of years of study. You don't, I mean, you shouldn't go to an SAT, you know, cramming the night before. It's stuff that you've done over the years. So I'm saying that because the way I got the job at Google, it wasn't, I didn't apply for it. Actually, it was a funny story. I always kept my LinkedIn profile very clean. And I always looked at certain, you know, people to kind of, hey, I like this, I like that. And I used to tweak it in a way that I thought it would be appealing to employers. You know, so I got a professional headshot. I had some folks kind of give me some feedback on things like, hey, you know, does this sound good? And I would even, if you're serious about, like you said, like landing a solid job, there are, you know, consulting firms and people that do that for a living, where they build out your LinkedIn profile. I, as a manager at the time, I used to hire folks right out of LinkedIn. And the way that we look for talent is through specific keywords. So if you have the right keywords on there, it's very likely that you're going to show up as a hit for that recruiter, and then you can get the job. So, but getting the interview is just the one part. I think one thing that's important is that you want to make sure that it's aligned with your interests. So not just to get a job, but like look at the company and see if, you know, if it's something that you like to be involved with. So to circle back, I, you know, got a message from a recruiter from Google. It was December 6th. I wish I could tell you that I immediately responded and we got on the phone really quickly, but I wasn't really active on LinkedIn messaging at the time, and I didn't see the message for 10 days. So you don't want to do that, right? If you get a LinkedIn message from a recruiter, especially from Google, you want to respond fairly quickly. So I remember I was in a meeting. The meeting was kind of dragging, so I picked up my phone. I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and I see a message, and I see hello from Google. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, guys, I have to drop. I'll be right back. And I started responding, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. I wonder, you know, if this will work out. And it did. So the interview process is quite interesting, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit. But I want to leave you with this. The interactions that you have today in school, at work, will contribute for the stories that you're going to share during those interviews, right? So if you have the ability to take on an extra project, to do something in addition to your current role, if you're working today, or let's say if Dr. Sweet says, hey, do from questions 1 through 5, do 1 through 10. Anything that you can do in addition to what's being asked of you is something that you can list out or showcase in an interview process. So for example, when I went for the role, they didn't ask me for a recommendation. They didn't ask me for a 30, 60, 90. They only asked me to fill out an application. But I really wanted the role, and I really went in all out. So I didn't want to leave anything to chance. So I did all that I could to make sure that I got that opportunity. Go ahead. Perfect. Good job. I like you, man. You keep me honest. So 30/60/90 is an outline. It's like a plan for you to tell the employer that you know exactly what you're going to do as soon as you start, 60 days out and 90 days out. So, it could be, hey, so-and-so employer, I, plan on the first 30 days to take on all the training requirements. I want to meet my team. I want to make sure that I'm clear on the value proposition of your products. I want to find out what the projects are. And then in 60 days, I want to make sure that I dominate all of those areas, that I'm ready to go. And then in 90 days, I want to make sure that I check in with you to make sure that I'm in line to deliver on what's expected of me. If you Google, no pun intended, 30/60/90 plan, there's a bunch of templates. And if you like, connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I'll send you what I prepared for Google. I'm happy to do that for you. No, it's no trade secrets. So no secrets. It's easy. It's not a big deal. It may sound more than it really is. Okay, so just to cap this off, I think that for the interview piece, Google is very unique in the way that they interview. And it's very common for companies like Amazon, Microsoft, even Apple to have a specific way to look for people. So if you check out some of those interviews, I think it's cool for you to get the idea. It's not necessarily, you're not necessarily going to see the same type of interaction with every employer. But one thing that I will highlight is that role-related knowledge, so meaning the experience that you've had over the years is important, but also the intangibles, like things that you can't really put a price to, is really where it's at least for me. When I used to hire, I would try to get folks like off the cuff comments. I remember one person that I was interviewing, he said, yeah, I used to lay down baseboards with my father growing up to help him out and, to be able to promote the family business. That was an off the cuff comment that I'm like, you know what, that person knows, what it takes to grind, and there's not a sense of entitlement, and there's a sense of hard work. It has nothing to do with the role, but it has to do with the character. So, I just want to, reassure you that you may not have everything on paper that you would think that would make a perfect candidate, but I think your character and your willingness to go above and beyond and showcasing what you've done to get there, I think it could be more than, a certification or something on your resume, right? And the thing that I want to showcase as well is like these books here that I listed out. For me, like they changed my life, and I don't get anything by promoting these books, but I think it really would help you. Go ahead. Yeah, David Goggins is awesome. Yeah. I actually got the audiobook, and it's like 13 hours of audio, and I would listen to it every time I'd go to work. So definitely a great read. Sometimes I would sit in the parking lot just to wait for the chapter to be over. It's very good. But look, so a lot of people think about sales like, hey, I don't want to be a sales guy. I hate sales, but you're always selling. Like I was selling you on the book, and you were probably selling your friends on a TV show or on an opinion, or you could be selling your boss on a project on why that would need to be prioritized. So to sell is human. Amazing. Check it out. Very quick read. Very good, especially if you're going into the interview process. So these are broken down by stages, if you see it, like finding the role, desired skills, and on the job. The other one, when you do get the opportunity to interview, or if you're going for a promotion, or if you're trying to look for a new job, having the right positive mental attitude going in is key. Right? It's not like repeating a mantra and say, hey, I'm going to get the job, or like, oh, you're getting it. It's a lot more than that, right? It's training your mind to be resilient and to take on like whatever hurdles come your way with a positive attitude, and have that mindset that, things are going to work out in the end. Go ahead.
You haven't recommended books, reading books, or it's just sitting with books?
I would start here. The one thing. Well, it depends on where you're at, right? I would start here because it would help you with school. The way that the one thing for me is a foundation for everything, because it talks about productivity. It talks about time management, talks about setting goals, and it talks about how multitasking is a myth, right? So if you think that you're on your phone right now, you may be on your phone listening to me right now, and you're thinking that you're absorbing that, you're not. Your body, your brain is not able to process everything at the same capacity, simultaneously. Right now, if I'm thinking about what I'm going to say and I see something, you're going to see that I'm going to stop speaking for a split second, and then I'm going to continue. That is what they call in the book, you're switching from task to task, and that is taxing on your brain. So if you started something, finish it. And it's very simple. But how many times were you in a presentation or on Dr. Sweet's class and he got into a dry point and you're like, oh, let me pull up my phone. You're not listening to him. You think you are, but you're not. So very cool book, very fast read. And it's a foundation for everything, especially when goal setting and time blocking. Like if you could use Google Calendar to block your time, for example, to, work on your resume, or, maybe go to lunch with somebody that, maybe get a mentor, or, work on a presentation. Like time blocking is key, especially on the, if you're working and you have meetings, you're time blocking anyway. But if you're not, you can start having that behavior now, because it does help you a lot. Any questions?
I think it also.
That too. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's difficult, right? The book says, like, what is the one thing that I can do so that everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? And it's just that one thing. And you don't have to have a list of like 15 things you want to accomplish. You can have just the one and kind of work through that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have a favorite out of the 3 here, or an undisclosed one that you didn't put?
The Challenger sale, it's big on sales. Like I would go on that one, is pretty good. If you Challenger sale, you probably get it. I forget the name. Yeah, you get it. It's like a red cover. But I would start with the one thing, then Can't Hurt Me. I think it's like a leisure read, and then Daniel Pink for sure. There you go. I'll take your word for it. Okay. Got it. All right. So look, this is it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So to wrap it up, this is like a little bit different than maybe some other info sessions. I like to put a spin on things, because I was in your shoes not too long ago. And I remember that I had those questions like, hey man, am I doing the right thing? Am I looking at every angle? Should I be doing something different? And I think what you can do something leaving here today that will help you. Number one is start building your network, right? I think having people around you that elevate you is key. Someone said that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So check out your surroundings, check out who you're spending your time with. And if those folks are where you eventually want to be, then great. If not, maybe consider adding other people that can add value to you. There are a lot of opportunities here at FAU. For example, they have like a mentorship program in the business school. There are tools like Upnotch, which is an app. You can go in and you can get a mentor to kind of help you through certain things. And everybody's always looking for ways to grow. So if you have the ability to meet with someone, they can give you some guidance. Execute what you, go ahead. I think like FAU has that. So there's like the FAU ramp, tech ramp program, and there's another one at the business school.
What the BNB is the business mentor program?
There you go. That's the one. I'm actually a mentor on that one. Yeah. You can, like, if you Google FAU Business Mentor Program or FAU Tech Ramp, I think that's what's called.
Is it only for like students that like are you in American college? Because
I don't know. I don't.
I'm
man,
not
I,
but I'm just curious if brothers that like
One that for the college of business.
okay.
But that runway is a little bit different. Like if you want to be a mentor, you have to be in like a position.
okay. But if all of else fails, there's several other avenues for you to get, even if it's like someone that you know, a professor, you know, a boss, like a supervisor, anybody really, or like services like Up Notch, they offer that as well. I'll fly through this because I know we're on time. Out of these 4 that are left, execute what you can control. Look, everybody could wake up a few minutes early, right? And even if it's to maybe run a couple of miles, maybe read a book, or, you know, instead of going to social media, you know, pick up one of those books and read up on your phone. I think that if you can implement a habit, a healthy habit, can change your, you know, your outlook on life. Being uncomfortable is key. If you're comfortable where you're at, you're not growing. And I say this to you guys, and I always say that to myself, because growth only happens when you're out of your comfort zone, right? I sometimes, like when I started speaking in front of people, it would be like, it was terrible. Like I hated it. And now I kind of look forward to it. So you kind of dominate that, and you can overcome it and you grow. Coming from an outcome of an outcome mentality is huge. It doesn't matter what you've done. It matters what outcome you got. Like what was the result of it? So you could say, you know, you've done a bunch of things over time, but if you don't have the mentality of finding out what the end game is, then maybe you should revisit, you know, if you should have started that. There's a quote that says, you know, begin with the end in mind. And for me, that's huge, right? Think about, you know, a few steps ahead for you to be able to get to where you want to be. And the last piece is know the value that you bring on, right? Know your value proposition. When I managed the Latin America team, I would always tell them, hey, you know, you're calling into these customers, like you're their advisor, like know your place, know that you bring value. So for you, hey, it's 6 o'clock Thursday, rainy, you're here, you're trying to educate yourself. Like folks are here, maybe they work the whole day and they're in the afternoon, like they had a packed day. So, you know the value that you bring to the table, and know that you're doing all the right things to get ahead. So, you know, I kind of wanted to leave with that. Go ahead. That was citrus. Yeah. Go ahead.
What was your concentration?
It was
Sorry.
yes. Yeah, so it was I think it was called analytics concentration. I think so. Yeah, it had a lot of like business intelligence classes. Those for me were the best, and the stuff that I use today that helped me today. And I'm happy that I got the experience to graduate with the AA and kind of go back, because I had some years of like professional career under my belt. But I also think that coming in and not having that break is also helpful. So, you know, I wouldn't advise like stopping and then coming back. Here, I got it in MIS. So bachelor's in MIS and then master's in IT management. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have the pleasure of taking Q&B with Dr. Sweet, but, you know, I hear he's tough. So I'm kind of happy that didn't happen. Q&B for me, man, it was a nightmare. I got to hand it to you. Yeah, that's easy. You get it.
Much better than
Really? What else? Go ahead. So there's a ton of things that come up. I wouldn't do it service if I would tell you that I know everything about it. What I can say is that there are a lot of applicants for a lot of the internships and the certifications. So I wouldn't, like, if you apply and you don't get it the first round, just apply again and keep applying. One thing that you can do, it's called Google Skill Boost. And it's essentially a course on certain products that we offer. For example, there's a skill boost on Google Workspace. There's one for Google Admin. So you can kind of start there to just get your feet wet. And, if you're looking for other, like for Microsoft or for AWS, I don't know how technical you want to get, but you could go and there's some resources there as well. Go ahead.
There was a question in the chat.
Okay.
Christian asked, do you think you needed your master's to be able to?
I think that I don't think it's a requirement, but I think it's something that's valuable because what I got from the master's was the ability to collaborate with people, right? A lot of the folks that I worked with in college kind of gave me that group mentality, which I didn't have before, because I worked in the financial industry. It was myself and the customer. I didn't have like a team of people. So with the master's, there's a lot of projects that you kind of have to say, hey, you do ABC, I'll do the other, let's meet next week. And then there's like a kind of like a project manager kind of sense to it. So regardless of the content, I think just managing that helps you along the way in your professional career. So definitely helpful. And especially like if you're getting a specialization on a technical field, like for example, data analytics, then obviously you're going to have hands-on experience, to manage that and to learn how that's done. So that is definitely like recommended. And the last thing I'll say is if you're going to go for higher titles, typically like a sales director or a director at some level, they do require a master's degree. So look, you're already halfway there. Might as well just finish it off. I think that's the way to come about.
Strong.
Finish strong. Exactly.
We have another question in the chat from Skula. Are there more opportunities for internships in states like Texas or elsewhere here in Florida?
I know that Google has a big center in Austin. So obviously you would have, an upper hand if you're living there. But with hybrid work and employers kind of looking for talent anywhere, I think those boundaries are not as prominent as they were before. So I would put, let's say, a certification or a job experience over location any day. Anyone else? Yes. Favorite part about my job? I really connect with Google's mission, and I feel like being able to come here and share about what we're doing and the things that we get to touch is really rewarding. So talking to customers about, hey, new releases, new features, and being able to help them. For example, if they're stuck on, they're spending hours doing a process one way, and I can say, hey, we have this feature that does X, Y, Z, and would help you. That's really rewarding for me. And eventually, I want to be able to lead a team again, and like having my folks, be able to see them develop, give them tools to grow. I think that for me is the end game, like the end goal. Yeah. You're going to put me on the spot like that? Yes. To make to make information easily accessible to everyone, something to that effect. Yeah, thank you for that. We have like 50 people watching me online. Go ahead.
What advice would you give to a student who desires to meet their position?
That's a good one. So I think it's a lot of what I talked about. I think having the mindset of you're in the right spot, right? I think getting the anxiety away of like, oh my God, am I doing, trust that you're doing all that you can, right? I think putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, meaning, hey, you may not want to reach out to someone on LinkedIn for help, do that anyways. Or if you have the opportunity to go the extra mile, do that. You're already kind of, taking the approach of being in MISA. Like, is there anything else in the school that they offer for you to be able to do that? If you're working, hey, can you check in with your boss and see, hey, how am I doing? Like, do you have any feedback? And when they say feedback is a gift, it really is, because you're only limited to what you put out. You don't know what the way that people are seeing. So I think that those are important things, and like focus on what you can control. Like I had no intentions of working at Google. I always thought that Google was so foreign. I never went. It's funny because every time I put a Google shirt or I look at my email and I see like Google, I'm like, it takes me a minute. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Like, right? Yeah. But so again, it kind of just happened. So I think if you do all that you can with the mindset of, hey, regardless of the outcome, I'm going to do the best I can, right? Having that mindset, being on that, and it could be little things, right? Spending an extra few minutes to read over an email that you're going to send to your professor. Like, is this clear? Because I get emails from customers. What are you saying? Like, I don't understand, right? So taking a minute to read your emails, like reread your essay, look at the outline that you have, and is this succinct? Is it clear? Now, if you're working, is there anything else you can be doing? Like, is there more responsibility that you can ask? Because all of those, nobody's going to be able to take away those experiences. So I think that's helpful. Go ahead.
What's your work schedule like? 9 to 5?
So I have a flaw. I'm always working. So I think anybody in sales is always on the clock. And now that you have, your work on your phone, you kind of like obsessed with it. So I don't really have I am in front of the computer, from 9 to 5. But let's say if I have to go to a doctor's appointment, or if there's something that I have to do, being remote allows me to do that. So, I think to answer your question, no, I'm like 24/7, but you can manage that. Some people are, different.
Is it because job requires it?
No, it's because I want to. But so if I was to answer you the corporate answer, it would be 9 to 5. Yeah. Right at time. Okay. All right. Yeah. There you go.
Somewhat safe.
Huh?
It'll still be safe.
Yeah, somewhat. Cool. So who won? I want to give this out.
Thanks everybody so much for the session. So we're going to do the group photo as well. I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing and just go ahead and just stop the recording.